So our next speaker is Zoe Ye. Zoe is actually a former colleague of mine. She's currently the deputy head of primary at Wellington College in Hangzhou. So we've had a speaker from Japan, a speaker from Hong Kong, and now a speaker from mainland China. Zoe, I've always known as someone who will tell you very straight exactly what the truth is, and is also someone who cares tremendously about kids in education and does everything possible for families and children in education. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing what Zoe is going to tell us about. So Zoe, I've unmuted you.
Okay. Thank you, Alex. So,
And I'll put your slides up.
okay. So I don't need to, do you want me to manage it or you do it for me?
I think we'll just stick with me managing it. That seemed to be
Okay. Yeah,
the best way of making it work.
All right, thank you.
And if you want to turn on your video, you're able to do that.
Okay. All right, hello everyone. My name is Zoe. So I work with Wellington College in Hangzhou now. I wanted to speak to you today about my experiences dealing with the changes that we had to do since China has been dealing with the online e-learning initiative. These are just my personal thoughts and opinions. Hopefully you can learn something from what we have tested, and we can all grow together as an international community. The first thing that I want to talk about is what factors I think are the most important to focus on in this environment we face today. The key words, I would say, preparation. Our school started e-learning the 3rd of February. We got emails from parents in the first 2 days. They expressed their frustration, confusion, and difficulties. Like for some students, the only device available was a cell phone if they happened to be stuck in the countryside for Chinese New Year. And some websites teachers, especially foreign teachers, gave them wouldn't open or need a VPN. That was extremely impossible for them if they're in the countryside. And they don't have a printer at home, or children spend too long time on electronic devices. Everything was spontaneous and overwhelming for Chinese parents. I'm a parent, so I was the same with them. So fortunately, these don't need to be problems for schools which just closed or are about to close. I also hope that parents can be reminded by us. Yeah, so could you turn to the next 2 slides? I already. So parents can be reminded by us that they can not just be a reminder at home, they can be a role model. So for example, they can learn with them, read with them, communicate with them about this situation, so the children can be confident and positive about the future. And that's about families. I would suggest. Next, let's come to the administration. So during our first week, we had a lot of different learning experiences, because this was so new for us too. There was no example to follow, and the only thing we could do was to collect the feedback from parents and teachers and make a workable plan. So we held like a long meeting, tons of meetings in that 2 days to discuss possible problems and the solutions. And then we finally made policies. We had to consider government requirements and everyone's well-being, including staff and students. So we tried to follow our normal timetable, like what Sean said. We wanted them to have art, music, PE as normal. So we followed our timetable, want to make them feel or believe it is school life, still school life, but it just happens at home. And we really be grateful to our IT team. So they offered training to our teachers. They made menus for teachers and the students in a short time. then we decided to, before that we decided to choose Microsoft Teams as our platform because most of our daily work is already based on it. We set accounts for lower grade students and also give more pressure to the parents because we started the IT lessons from grade 3. So for lower grade students, the parents have to do everything for them. Then we send them the menus and their accounts. So, but I feel that's not the hardest part. I feel our teachers should be extremely overwhelmed in that first week. You cannot imagine how much they had to do. So besides the teaching, they had to collect the travel information of students every day to report, maybe twice a day, to report to the bureau. And they had to prepare themselves to be a better streamer. Because for me, I'm shy. That's why I didn't want to turn on my camera at the beginning. So for teachers, I think it's the same from them. They're confident in classrooms, but in front of a camera with so many parents watching, that's a lot of pressure on them. So also a lot of them were traveling. So the difficulties parents had were also with them. But anyway, we faced the issues. However, we gradually refined our process. Like what Sean said, the starting was good because the first week was almost a disaster, I have to be honest. But the second week we have our routine. So now it's just like a normal life. So I feel just like our learning process, we started from missteps or mistakes. Let's go to the next one. So I feel the one of the biggest challenges is the fact that home-based learning environment is not under our direct control. So I would give the following suggestions to teachers. So half of our time or lessons was recorded video lessons, then half time was online. Because I feel we want to limit the time when they spent online. So this way their health can be better. So firstly, I would say have clear goals for each lesson. Not just for teachers themselves, also make the goals clear to students so deep learning can happen. And the goals, I feel you need to they have to be accessible and achievable. Also, we have to stick to the goals. Maybe we only mentioned it once or twice in the lesson, but now I feel I would recommend we mentioned it a lot even throughout the lessons because we need the information, or we want to check if the goals are achieved by the students. So later on, we can close the loop of learning. And secondly, with less interaction and group work in online classes, lesson design costs more time. That's why we all agree teachers have put extra efforts in each lesson for planning and grading, such as things like this. So for better differentiation, we spent more time for that. Also, I would say tasks we give better relate to real life. I read a sample online. A teacher used like a TV show to give them a case. So some people have a big dinner. Who will be the first to be infected if one of them have that virus, and so use the situation, put the information to what we're learning. I feel that's interesting, and if the tasks are relate to real life, they will be more welcome. And also, the reason we use half time for recorded lessons, because this will allow students to learn at their own pace. And then we will have a following lesson online that will help teachers answer their questions and also give them chances to for interaction. For diagnosis, I feel it's now we only can do it during that online lesson, and also when you mark the homework. So because it's important, you need to know how the students have learned what you want them to learn, and also it helps teachers check if the students have achieved all the goals. So we mostly use T-chat or emails. Lower grade students, also parents do this for them. So this way we can collect the feedback and also give individual help or tutoring if needed as a follow-up. So above all, having a strong relationship between school, parents, and students it was always important, but now it's even more important, because if we don't have these strong links, the environment will fail and the students will suffer. Okay, let's go to the next one. So I have spoken about some of the things that we faced in our learning environment. I want to shift over to some of my reflections on how things might change in the future. Even though China is returning to a classroom environment as our quarantine is, as soon as it's lifted. So here are some of my thoughts. Let's go to the next slide. I don't know how many of you have read or heard about the book? In 1994, this doesn't give away my age. I read it later on. It swept the world. It centered around how to learn, which is more important than what to learn. We all agree with it. It told us that everyone should find a suitable way for themselves to learn efficiently and to enjoy the process and the results of learning. The subheading is interesting. It says, this is your 21st century passport. We are in 21st century now, but where are we in this revolution? I really hope this academic situation can be a good opportunity for everyone to reflect on the new learning revolution. So I asked some questions here. I hope we can all think about it, and I just share my personal opinions. So let's go to the next one for the first question. So should we control learning or inspire learning? So for me, like now with the compressed teaching time and distance, the real learning experience of every child has been revealed to us and to parents. So what we have seen or what we think might not be true. And like now we cannot adjust our teaching based on the reaction we can see in the classroom. So that's why I mentioned before, a more sophisticated design is needed. We do need to put more efforts in lesson design. And also future learning, I feel, should be more participatory and voluntary. Because like things like now, if we teach online, they learn online, there's no way to control. We don't have that much control now. Okay, so next question, how can we help learning happen? We need to reevaluate our role as teachers. We know if we teach, students will learn, but that doesn't mean if we teach, they will learn. They can gain knowledge not because we teach it to them, but because they are willing to learn. If they are not, however hard we try, there's nothing happening. Also, as teachers or educators, I feel in the future we should be designers. I read it from a book. I think it's a founder of a famous Chinese bookstore. Not Chinese, Japanese. He said in the future, all the enterprises should be like a design. That's the most important, like a soul of all the companies. I feel for all the schools, design is also that important. So we should be designers for learning instead of teaching, because we should help them learn better, not teach better. How well we teach doesn't affect how well they learn. And although I think only when a student looks into themselves and is motivated to learn can we bring the best out of them. All right, next question. I have so many questions because I have been thinking during this period. I have more time. So how should we run our school after school reopens? I believe not just me who is thinking about this, many things should change. We can see, or it's visible, that there are gaps between students and the schools. And during this period, we have set a framework for future schools. So I hope we can combine what we've done well with what we are doing well now for future. And also more, I hope, that's what Alex said, I'm an honest person. So I hope more actual cooperation in international education should be above other interests. So like we can see public schools, they can share like a high quality resources among the province level or even nationwide. But for international schools, I know we have different curriculums or different design of curriculums, but we have a lot to share too, but we didn't see that happening a lot. So I feel students' interest should come before commercial interest. All right, as a final thought, let's go to the final. I know they have shared a lot of good resources, but I would to share some resources I found useful to teachers. So I hope that could help. Alex, I'm almost done here. Sorry, I cannot control it. Yeah, so these are the resources I would recommend. All right, that was all from me. Thank you for your time.